Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's episode of Oak Forest Audio. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the AKG K371 headphone. This is a fairly recent closed-back headphone. The retail price varies from about $150 with retailers like Sweetwater and as low as $123 as of today on Walmart.com. Now, there is some fluctuation in the price. eBay has got a couple of highly rated sellers that are listing refurbished, open boxed, and slightly used headphones, K371s, for under $100. So, in terms of the price, I would say it's around about $120 or so dollars, kind of give or take. Pay a bit more with some folks, pay a bit less if you're thrifty and you can search for a good deal. Now, this is a headphone that I did not receive a sample of, but actually one that I purchased myself. I heard a lot of positive feedback on it, and I really kind of wanted to have a chance to not only hear it for me, but also get a chance to share it with all of you. Now, the way that I'm going to do that is I do run a subreddit called the Headphone Library, and I'm going to be introducing this into that library program. You guys can click on the link in the description for details about the headphone library and kind of figure out if you are able to sit down and have a listen to these yourself. Now, what I like about the K371, however, is for me it kind of redefines what we can expect from headphones that are around that $100 price point. You guys may remember I did a video on the best under $100 headphone, which had the Audio-Technica M40X and the EMU Purple Heart with Creative Aura Live pads as the winner. I wound up giving the M40X away, and then I actually kept the Purple Heart. Yeah, I keep it on hand for reviews. What I liked about the Purple Heart was the overall tonality. It's a bit warm, but it plays nicely with my V20 at the time, and then the ongoing line of eSaber, Howard cell phones that are popping up. Now, my problem with the EMU at the time and even today is the build quality is a little bit light. It's not super sturdy. The sound is not amazing out of every device that's on the market, but more importantly, the cable is not detachable. When I got my first headphone, detachable cables were not a thing, but it's one of the first mods that I did. I had somebody swap out because I was concerned that I would destroy the cable, on my $100, $200 headphone, right? Prior to owning nicer $100, $150 headphones, I had little cheap Sony ones, and I would either blow the drivers out or somehow manage to rip out the cable. So my first headphone having detachable cable was something I wanted and kind of went out of my way to spend and put good money on. So what I appreciate is that it's becoming a more common feature nowadays. Getting back to the K371, the cable is in fact detachable, and there's two of them. You get a little carrying pouch, and inside the carrying pouch is both a coiled cable and a straight cable, so you've got an option. The coiled is nice if you need a longer distance or a longer run. The straight cable is good if you want something shorter. It does come with, of course, the adapters, the 3.5 millimeter and 6.5 millimeter, and the detachment portion is this single, I believe. Yeah, it's just a 3-pin, not the Odyssey 4, but a single 3-pin that lets you plug in and out. Now, I wouldn't go out of your way to purchase another cable for this. I don't think going to solid silver is worth the money. I don't think even getting a balanced cable is worth the money. What I appreciate about this headphone is that it simply sounds good and has a pretty balanced overall, frequency response and presentation. To my ears, I appreciated that it's got a little bit of a sub-bass lift. I found that the mid-range was fairly present. Sometimes it was a bit recessed, and the top end has just a touch of brightness. Overall, I found it to be really enjoyable. It kind of reminded me a lot of it was the Mr. Speakers, / drop Ether CX. I would imagine it's a Dan Clark Audio Ether CX. Maybe we still call it a Mr. Speakers. Either way, it reminded me a lot of that headphone. It didn't have the detail, the speed, or the impact, but the tuning was similar-ish. I mean, the Ether CX is a lot more linear, but I appreciate that this was reminiscent of that. When I was kind of gauging where this falls in performance, I would switch between my flagship closed back and this entry-level one, and, tonally it was similar. Yes, there's a massive difference in details, but I appreciated knowing that what I like in a flagship closed back is available in an entry-level. Granted, you get better detail as you move up the line. Now, I did a lot of my listening impressions on my Brocasti M3H, which is my all-in-one reference direct streamer. I mean, I run almost everything into it. Optical for my Switch, audio for my PC when I'm gaming or watching movies, and of course, all of my music is streamed either through my Wi-Fi, well, streamed on my cell phones directly into the Brocasti M3H with Ethernet, or I may use JRiver on my PC to again run the network play. So what I liked about K371 is I made my opinions listening on that top of the line product, but I keep an iFi Zendak on hand as kind of a reference point for entry level things, as I find that this product is probably one of the best all-in-ones under 200 bucks. There are cheaper all-in-ones, but I don't find that they're really as good as this. I mean, just the convenience of it and the overall, just the whole package. Anyhow, what I like about the Zendak is it's got that kind of slightly wet, slightly warm presentation, but still fairly natural. And I like that the K371 pairs really well with that kind of product. I mean, it's going to do perfectly fine with like a Modi 3 and a Magni 3. It's going to do perfectly fine on the EL stack. So I actually have the Atom DAC and the Atom Amp, right? Sounded fine on that system as well. It did good with like the topping E30 and L30 system. You know, it's not really picky, but I just appreciated, again, the consistency of it. When I plug it into stuff like my LG V20, it's a little bit dry, but it's not overbearing. You know, so all in all, I think AKG really hit the nail on the head with a consumer but audiophile friendly tuned closed back headphone. You know, I'm not really tolerant of excessive or forward bass, but I like that there's a sub bass emphasis without the mid bass being overemphasized over the subs or the mid range. So really, I think the tuning is spot on. Now, how does it compare to some of the other closed backs that I like and that I have? Again, the EMU Purple Heart, I like it. It's a great headphone for under 100. However, the problems it has, build quality is a little bit lackluster. The Purple Heart is really warm and really wet sounding. It sounds amazing out of like my Nintendo 3DS is a decent pairing. Very weak, kind of bright sound. Sounds good on my LG V20, which is that really dry, you know, first, second generation eSaber cell phone. What the K371 better is it's got the sub-bass extension that's a little bit more forward with a little better detail and impact. It's got some of that top-end brightness to kind of help flesh out the details, and it's not quite as warm in the mid-range. I think the K371 is a lot friendlier in just simply being a plug-and-play headphone. Again, I love the Purple Heart, and it sounds good out of a lot of things, but I have to be mindful sometimes of what I'm plugging it into because it can sound a bit stuffy. Now, this is a bit of a throwback, but back in the day, I really liked the Sony MDR V6. The V6 is piercingly bright, has really amazing sub-bass extension, slam, and impact, and is really recessed in the mid-range. But it's like a, well, I mean, it is the old-school studio monitor, and I think the V6 sounds nice on really older designs and chipsets. My HiFiMan HM601, which I like it with the K371. Again, it's got that, the HM601's got that kind of warm but open, spacious, burnt brown, you know, presentation like the Zendak has, but it's even warmer and wetter. Anyway, my point, the V6 sounds nice on really old, really thick, kind of warm-sounding stuff. The problem with the V6 is even though it's dirt cheap, it just doesn't sound good on a lot of modern gear, right? You plug it into like the Atom stack and you can't help but notice how bright and forward and angry the treble is. I plug it into the Brocasti M3H, which is flawless, and I cannot ignore how bright and angry and just aggressive the top end is. So again, I appreciate the 371 kind of takes the best of both of those. I get the bass impact that I like about the V6. I get a little bit of that top end, not clarity, but a little bit of that energy to kind of help flesh things out in terms of detail. If you're playing a game, because I did some Monster Hunter, I played a little bit of World with the K371, I could still kind of hear and track things in that space. I appreciate that it's got some of the naturalness of the EMU Purple Heart. And really, I think it's better than both. Again, it's a little bit more expensive, but I do believe you can find it for under 100 secondhand, or if you're able to, you can simply stretch and purchase it new. Now, what about scaling up? I like Ether CX as a absolutely, linear top of the line upgrade to this, which is entry level, but I kind of like the DT177X Go in comparison to the K371. I've got the hybrid, the pleather pad on it, the leather with the velour insoles. The 177X Go has just a touch of the top end brightness, but a lot of the warmth and body that the Purple Out has without any of that muffledness. My point is with the K371, there are a couple of upgrade options that you can go where you'll get a lot of what you like about this with something that's a little bit different while still getting just overall more detail. I like that the 371, very consumer friendly, very forgiving, just an enjoyable headphone to listen that isn't hard to upgrade from. Myself, as somebody that enjoyed the V6 back in the day, I also used to have a KRK KNS 6400, right? I really didn't find a lot of closebacks that I like until I got the original, Dan Clark Aeon Flow closed, and then I finally now ended up on the Ether CX. So for what I like, it was kind of difficult to find something that was definitively better. What I appreciate about the AKG K371 is I don't think you guys are going to have that problem. So all in all, the K371 gets my recommendation. I think it's an excellent headphone, excellent for plug and play with a cell phone or laptop, excellent for gaming. If you need isolation, if you don't need isolation, there are better open back headphones for gaming than this. But for myself, somebody that likes, enough positional accuracy but likes immersion, this is decent. Really, for whatever you need it for, if it's in the budget, if you've got the $100 and you want something and you have nothing, this is a great place to start. So, again, I like it. It gets my recommendation, and I'm hoping that we will see more headphones like this come to the market. I think that Sennheiser with their HD560S is going to have an open back that will do a lot of the same things that this does. Kind of have that well-balanced, kind of easy to starting point, right? Entry-level headphones should be a way to kind of get into, the audiophile hobby. Some of you may stop with entry-level headphones because you don't need anything more, but I'm just excited. I'm excited that we've had this product in the market. I'm excited to see more products that are like it because I'm starting to see them pop up. I'm rambling at this point, but it's a good can and I enjoy it. Guys, leave your comments and questions in the comments section below. Please like and subscribe. I don't get paid for my work, but having the traction, having the viewership helps me to get more products for review and also helps me kind of be able to populate the headphone library. Do check out the link for that because I do want to give you guys who are watching, as well as those of you who are involved in the hobby, a chance to hear the K371 for yourselves. So always, thank you guys for tuning in. Hope that you have a great day and happy listening.